Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Anne-Marie Davis and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Amicus. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to our virtual AGM today. And it's our first virtual AGM and I'm sure it's one that we will never forget. To start the official proceedings, I would like to acknowledge that we're meeting today on Jara country, of which the members and elders of the Jara people of the Dja Dja Wurrung community and their forebears are the traditional owners and have been custodians for many centuries and have performed age-old ceremonies of celebration, initiation and renewal. We acknowledge their living culture and their unique role in the life of our community. Before we start the official proceedings, I would just like to say that we have received an apology from Belinda Smith, who's on our Committee of Management. And I'd now like to welcome our Chairperson and President, Paul Somerville, to start the official proceedings.
Great, thank you very much, Anne-Marie, and welcome everybody. Great to see so many committee members, staff members, community members, and other stakeholders that could join us today. Certainly is a different world with this virtual AGM. Hopefully just a thing for today. Perhaps in the future we'll do a bit of both. Might be in person and virtual for those that can't make it. So just like to start the meeting by acknowledging that there was a notice for this AGM, which was advertised through our newsletter and on social media during October. So thanks to all those who picked up on that and decided to come along. The first item of business is to confirm the minutes of the AGM held last year, which were held on the 28th of November 2019. And there's a proposed motion that the minutes be accepted by the financial members present at the meeting. So I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. So that will be moved by Greg, seconded by Mike. Thank you. All those in favour? Great, thank you. I'll take those minutes as adopted. Next item of business is to go into my President's report. So the President's report is produced in the annual report and I'll try not to just read it, but if you'll indulge me, I'll take 5 minutes to pick out some highlights. This year has been a most unusual year for everybody and Amicus has been no exception. Been a successful year for Amicus and we've all been very busy and at a board level, corporate governance is where our focus has been. We've been working with the leadership team to progress the implementation of our strategic plan and like everybody else, managing through and working through the challenges of COVID-19. In relation to COVID-19, the leadership team and all staff have done a fantastic job of keeping everybody safe and implemented a whole lot of safety measures and restrictions and managed the impact well, such that we've had no staff or no participants contract COVID, which I think is a tremendous achievement. So well done to everyone who's assisted with that this year. It's certainly been a defining moment for us. During this financial year, there'll be another defining moment. The Amicus Group Incorporated will be transitioning to a company limited by guarantee, which is a different type of legal structure. As an organisation, as we've grown, we're looking for a stronger and a more robust legal structure to conduct our operations. And between now and June 30, we'll transition to that structure. A lot of work has been done. The Constitution has been reviewed and updated. There's still a little bit of work to do though. This transition will enable us to work with the many NDIS participants who live in border towns, like up in Moama. We can work interstate now as well. But it won't affect the way that we provide services. We'll still remain a not-for-profit. We'll still remain a charitable organisation that is quality assured and is NDIS registered. So nothing changes operationally. will still be the great organisation that we currently now, just within a more robust company structure. Last year, the Committee of Management welcomed new members Matthew Florence and Belinda Smith. So thank you both for joining us and bringing some strong skills to complement. We also said farewell to Graham Parker and Kate Lawrence. I'd like to thank them for their contributions. In addition to our regular meetings, we have a number of subcommittees. We have the Finance Subcommittee, which is chaired by Greg Noonan, which has been a challenging year. And we actually generated a surplus of $1.9 million this year, which is a tremendous result, but I'll let Greg talk about that a little bit later. The surplus puts us in a really strong position to continue to provide better services and invest within the organisation and within the communities where we operate. We also run a governance subcommittee that's been chaired by Heather Patterson. So thank you, Heather, for taking up that. And Heather's been guiding us through the transition into company limited by guarantee, as well as some board skills analysis, and also some new recruitment of committee members as well. We have an audit and risk committee that's been chaired by Mike Kiernan. So thank you, Mike, for your assistance during the year. They've been focusing on the key risk categories: strategic, financial, and technology. We have a revised risk management plan, which is reviewed on a quarterly basis. And we've also had a special subcommittee set up for the last 2 years, which is called the Cecil Street Redevelopment Subcommittee. For those who've been around for a while, you'd know that we previously used to be, as an organisation, we're out at Cecil Street in North Bendigo, but since we've moved our service into the middle of town, we've had some surplus land, and over the last couple of years, we've been working to subdivide and realise that land. I'm happy to say that process, the part one of that project is now complete, i.e. it's been subdivided. We've created a brand new residential estate called Market Gardens Estate, and we've sold every block of land in that estate except one, which we've hung on to, and we've commenced construction of 2 specialist disability accommodation units on that one lot that we're retaining. So that's been it's been in effect an asset conversion strategy where we've converted a block of land into 2 new units of specialised accommodation for people with a disability. It's had its high points and low points, but it's been one that we're glad to be on the other side and commencing construction of this great new accommodation. Despite the challenges of the last year, I believe Amicus is flourishing, and as chair, I'm very proud of not just the financial success we have, but also the continued impact we have on the people that we serve. And in terms of serving and supporting the participants, we have, sorry, just apologies for this little bird that's at my window at the moment. It comes in quite regularly while I'm sitting here. We're supporting more than 400 people across the communities where we operate, which I think is quite staggering. And we are routinely providing more than 20,000 hours of support per month. And that's quite remarkable, given that about 4 years ago, we were only providing around 10,000 hours of support. We effectively doubled our hours of support in the last 4 years, which is a tremendous testament to the quality of service we provide, and none of that is possible without the commitment, innovation, and great work of staff that happen every day. So just to conclude, on behalf of the committee, I'd like to thank all staff, including our direct support staff, our indirect staff who support service delivery back in the office, and our leadership team. Special thanks to Anne-Marie Davis, our CEO, for your work in building a diverse and effective support organisation that Bendigo and the communities in which we operate can be proud of. So thank you, everyone. Concludes my report. but I'll keep talking because someone needs to accept that, and we need to have a proposer and a seconder that report be accepted. Thanks, Joe. Seconded by Craig. All those in favour? Thank you. If people have questions along the way, I haven't checked the questions chat, but feel free to register them on the Q&A or on the chat there. I see we've got 19 attendees in addition to the 7 panelists, and that's fantastic. So thanks everyone for coming along. All right, look, at this point, I'll hand over to Anne-Marie, who will share with us her Executive Officer's report. So over to you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Paul. And I will echo Paul's sentiments. What a year it's been. I'll try not to use the word unprecedented, I promise. But it gives me great pleasure to share my report for the 2019-20 financial year. And it's been a year where we've tackled everything from code red days and bushfires to a global pandemic and many challenges in between. So thankfully, to counterbalance those challenges, we also have much to celebrate, particularly as we reflect on the achievements of participants working towards their good life and as an organisation contributing to our community and the sector. So we have experienced steady growth across our organisation, particularly in NDIS service delivery, as demand for our one person at a time services continue to increase. The largest increase for us as an organisation in the past 12 months has been in relation to supported independent living, the NDIS program fondly known as SIL. And we're particularly proud of our service response during COVID-19, where we supported 3 participants with very significant health and support needs to transition out of acute hospital settings into alternate accommodation in response to that COVID crisis. So that was great work, and there were many people involved in the success of that venture. And look, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that was involved. There's been so much that we've covered off in the past 12 months. We moved our head office from 100 Queen Street, where we'd been for the last 6 years, to our new head office at 18 Myers Street. We also established a designated child-safe office space at 53 Myers Street. We've also taken on a change to the way that we work in terms of implementing a new CRM, or customer relationship management platform. And we started that work prior to a global pandemic being declared, and it has provided us with some interesting challenges to solve, as increasingly not just our workforce, but the workforce of the vendors that we were working with were also working from home. So, but I again want to pay tribute to all of the direct support staff and indirect staff at Amicus, who have really worked very hard to make sure that that project is a success. Paul's mentioned our pandemic response, and I'm also very proud of the record of no transmissions within Amicus, and certainly during the second wave of COVID. In Bendigo in particular, we had over 100 active cases. So I'm very pleased that we were able to keep everybody safe. Last year, we also said farewell to Shane suddenly. And I just really wanted to pay tribute to Shane for his 7 years of service to Amicus. He was really instrumental in the organisation's transition from a more traditional service to a service that now works one person at a time and is fully community-based. So while he did leave us in a hurry, I'm happy to say that he is well and enjoying life on the farm. So I'm sure he still misses us, but he is rather enjoying life on the farm. We also have lots of new people that we have welcomed to Amicus, and will start to make a very big impact during this year. And I'm looking forward to working with them. But as we look to the future, we did a lot of planning in 2019-20 to help shape the Amicus of the future. And there's some very big projects that we envisioned, including separation of our children and adult services so that we can really intentionally focus on best practice as a child safe organisation. We also put in place plans to develop a single point of entry and to streamline our accesses to services at Amicus. We've looked at the implementation of a competency framework across the organisation so that every role is well equipped to deal with the work that we do on a daily basis and to lead us into the future. And we've also developed some new roles within the organisation, so a behaviour support coach to support our teams that work with people who have behaviour support plans. And we've also developed the role of a SIL manager that will help the organisation to oversee our SILs and also our services that we deliver from Melissa Court in Castlemaine. We have an ever expanding circle of community partnerships, and 2021 we will introduce the community inclusion capacity building officer that will help us to expand on those networks as well. But there have been a couple of partnerships over the past 12 months that I would really like to highlight, and they are with Haven Home Safe, who've been a fabulous partner as part of our development at Cecil Street, and also have worked behind the scenes to help us develop an exciting new project that will be launched in the current financial year called HomeLink, which is really aimed at supporting young people exiting the care system to live a good life as adults. So we're really excited about that piece of work. So please watch this space, and we'll be looking forward to reporting back next year how the impact of that approach. And we would also like to acknowledge our partners at MASAG. So MASAG are the auspicing body for Melissa Court, and have worked tirelessly as a community to make that facility available for Castlemaine and District and beyond. And we're pleased to say that we have just signed another 3-year lease to extend our time at Melissa Court, and we really enjoy working with the Committee of Management, and it's a mutually beneficial relationship, but we just wanted to acknowledge that today. So I guess I really wanted to, in closing, reflect that 2020 in particular has been a long haul for all. And I'd like to thank Team Amicus, they've risen to the challenge. And there were a lot of unknowns, but they took that in their stride and implemented everything that needed to be implemented while continuing on with their daily responsibilities. And that's no mean feat. I'd also like to thank the Committee of Management, who've been strong in their governance and a great support to us during the COVID-19 uncertainty. And finally, my biggest thanks is to each and every one of our participants and their families and their supporters. Thank you for your continued loyalty and support of Amicus and your belief in the vision, mission and values of the organisation. And I'm really looking forward to working with you all in 2020-21. That's my report. Thank you, Paul.
Great, thank you, Anne-Marie. If I could also echo your sentiments about thanks to Shane Scott as well. Shane, worked with all of the management team to really get us over the line in terms of NDIS, and we wish him all the best. Could I call for a mover and a seconder if the executive officer's report be accepted, please? Moved, Mike, thank you. Seconded by Joe, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, thanks very much. We'll move on to the financial report. So I'll ask Greg Noonan. Greg, if you're able to
Yep.
and tell us about the year that was financially.
Okay, thanks, Paul. I'm very pleased to be able to present the finance report for the year ended 30th of June 2020. Despite the challenges for the year, we are very pleased to report that Amicus achieved a record surplus of $1.86 million compared to 1.18 for last financial year. The balance sheet or statement of financial position had assets of 7.7 million compared to 4.6 last year. The important figure there is the net assets, which were for this year 4.47 compared to 2.62 for 18-19. This year saw a couple of accounting changes, particularly the introduction of a new accounting standard in relation to leases. The impact of this has been accounted for in our financial reports. Due to the nature of Amicus, some financial assistance measures were available to us to combat the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, such as PAYG relief and COVID-19 loading on some NDIS cost rates. Part of our surplus can be attributed to the land sales from the Market Gardens estate. Where did our funds come from? The total income was 14.8 compared to 12.4 last year, 18-19 year. So our income grew by 20%, which is not insignificant. Most participants are supported by Amicus, funded by the NDIS. Other significant income sources were the Department of Health and Human Services and the Commonwealth Home Support Program, or HAC services for participants over the age of 65. The NDIA supported the sector by providing an advance payment. For Amicus, this meant a cash advance of $904,000. This has not been reflected in the P&L as it unfortunately has to be repaid. What happened with our money? Expenses for the year were nearly 13 million compared to 11.2 in 18-19. Employee costs represented 88% of expenditure. Staff numbers were 122 full-time equivalent at the end of the year, compared to 129 FTE in 18-19. Future, Paul's alluded to a couple of issues that we'll be achieving for the next year, for the current year and going forward. Anne-Marie mentioned the client database and a rostering system. The benefit of that will streamline our pathways process and provide technology that can be used remotely by our support staff. It's also been mentioned about the construction of 2 units on a block in the Market Gardens estate. And Paul mentioned our transition to a incorporated to a company limited by guarantee. Of course, success just doesn't happen, particularly in the environment that we've been operating under in the last 7 months. To achieve success, the product or service that's been provided must be what the market wants, needs, and also values. And importantly is how the service is delivered is just as important. It's been an exciting year for Amicus. And again, I'll reiterate the words of Paul and Anne-Marie that we thank our participants for choosing to be supported by Amicus, and to our people for their dedication and commitment to our participants. This is my last financial report after 5.5 years as a board member. I'm proud to have been able to make a contribution to Amicus and wish my colleagues and management the best for the future. Thank you very much, Paul. Over to you. I'd just like to move that the Treasurer's report be accepted by financial members. I'm happy to move that.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Thanks for the report and for moving that. Looking for a seconder for Greg's report. Thanks, Joe. All those in favour? Thank you. Carried. Yes, and thank you, Greg, for your time. We're sorry to see you go, but yeah, appreciate your leadership on the board over that time and the work that you've done.
Thank you. The last motion is the appointment of auditor. The motion is the RSD accountants be nominated as auditor for 2020-21. I'm happy to move that.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Seconder for that report. Thanks, Mike. All those in favour? That's great. Thank you. We'll take RSD. And in case I tuned out on that matter, just to reiterate that we received an unqualified audit opinion on the financial statements as well. Apologies, Greg, if you mentioned that, but that's just worth noting, I think, and it's important. Okay, look, we'll move on to the election of office bearers. For this part of the meeting, I'll hand over to Anne-Marie. I'll step down as chair and invite Anne-Marie to take over the AGM at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So my role now is just to act as returning officer for the next agenda item. So as part of that role, I am declaring all current positions on our Committee of Management vacant and sharing that we have received nominations from Andrew Barrett, Joe Chiancho, Matt Florence, Michael Kiernan, Heather Patterson, and Belinda Smith, and Paul Somerville. From those nominations, we have also received a nomination for Paul Somerville of President. And at this point in time, the Vice President and Treasurer's position, we don't have a nomination for, but the committee will work towards filling those positions from the current membership. But given that we have an equal number of nominations to positions and no contest, and we certainly do not have a contest, Paul, you are returned unanimously to your position of President, and Andy, Joe, Matt, Mike, Heather and Belinda are returned as general members. So that completes the election for this year, and I would just like to congratulate you all on your appointments and welcome you back to the team for 2020-21. And what an exciting year it's going to be.
It is, yeah, lots to do. And thank you, Anne-Marie, for acting as returning officer, and thank you to the rest of the committee for your support as me as president and for your continued interest to be on the committee. As just by way of a broader invitation to the community more broadly that might be tuned in on this call, we do still have a couple of vacancies on the Committee of Management. If people are interested, or you know someone who is interested in joining the governance group of Amicus, we're going through an exciting phase. As we mentioned a couple of times, we're transitioning from a Committee of Management to a Board of Directors. We're also looking at skills assessment and undergoing further training across the whole committee and board to make sure we're well equipped to discharge our responsibilities and duties, and we would offer similar support to anyone else who's interested in that role. It's very rewarding to be involved in such a diverse and impactful organisation such as Amicus. So yeah, so look out for the invitations on Facebook and LinkedIn for committee management vacancies. Okay, we'll move to the next item of business, which is our Living the Values Awards. For those who've come along to previous AGMs, you'd know that at this point we acknowledge the achievements of certain participants that we've supported through the year, and we do so by having a look at what our key values are, and participants are nominated by staff, I understand. So the first value that we'd like to acknowledge is self-direction. So self-direction at Amicus means that each person decides for themselves. We believe that people have the right to decide about the things that happen in their lives. We give information, support and opportunities for people to direct their own lives and the services that they want from Amicus. Each of our award winners' stories feature in our annual report, which will be available following today's meeting. But for the Self-Direction Award, I'm really pleased to announce that Terry O'Shea is the winner. So congratulations, Terry, for the Self-Direction Award. As an organisation, we first met Terry when we were asked to provide him with the support to move back to his home after a hospital stay, as his bathroom required some extra renovation. And to quote Terry, he said that the Amicus boys looked after me really well when I had to move out of my home while renovations were being complete. And once Terry was back on his feet, he had self-directed a lot of his supports and spoke up about who he wanted in his team of support. Terry is a local identity in Newbridge, and he's known as the Prince of Newbridge. And he is well connected to the community down there. It's been a challenge for him to get out and about like everybody. But his favourite local is the Newbridge Hotel, where he likes to catch up with the boys and his dad. So congratulations, Terry, and great to hear you and your achievements in relation to self-direction. The second value that I'd like to acknowledge, the second important value of Amicus is individuality, which means that each person is an individual and that we welcome and respect the people as individuals, have their own cultural background. And at Amicus, this means that, that the people we support, their families and the people who work here and everyone in the community. We're pleased to announce that the winner this year is Lee Blair. So congratulations to Lee. Lee's an amazing young boy of 11 years old who enjoys arts and play therapy, and with his mum enjoys directing different roles and scenarios. He's made considerable progress this year. He started at Kaliana School and engaged with all aspects of school. He's developing a strong sense of self-living and understands who his family members are and the trusted adults are in his life. He's participated in a whole range of physical activities like scouts, dance, swimming, Auskick, cricket blast, and a range of other passions, including skates at the skate park. He's made huge progress over the last 18 months. I'd like to congratulate Lee and for his success with the individuality, and thank all the staff in particular that have worked with him. In terms of our third value is active participation. And by that, it means that at Amicus, we believe that each person should be in the community and be part of it. And we believe that all people have the right to be part of the community they choose, to be included, not excluded. We recognise the unique skills and abilities that each people have and the contribution that they can make in their own way. This year, I'm pleased to announce that this year's winner is Oscar Evans. congratulations, Oscar. Oscar is also a young person who has type 1 diabetes and initially had no routine or structure and unstable, glucose levels. So, some health challenges there. But now with the support of Amicus, Oscar has been thriving and is now on track with his health and wellbeing milestones. He's well supported and he's got a variety of new things he's been exploring, including, learning about trains, trams, cars, riding a bike, kicking football, typing letters on an old typewriter, and getting his own sense of achievement. And that's included as to choosing what he wants to wear and how he wants to cut his hair. And that could be anything there. So well done. And and good on him for that achievement. The final Living the Value Award I wanted to acknowledge is capacity building. By capacity building, I mean at Amicus, each person has the opportunity to grow and learn new skills. This is not about just staying in a holding pattern. We want to recognise that people do grow and change and building skills, and we give everyone the opportunity to keep learning. This year, I'm pleased to announce that this year's winner is Roger Taylor. So Roger has made significant progress towards walking towards his independence in 2020. Roger, due to COVID, the opportunity arose for Roger to relocate to Melissa Court. That's our respite house that we deliver services to in partnership with Massag. And he's taken the change in his stride and dedicated towards learning independence. And he now takes control of his own personal care and chores around the house. He's also got a passion for remote control cars and likes pulling them apart and rebuilding them again, which is a real skill. I know I've tried to pull things apart and I can never put them back together exactly. So well done, Roger. And to top off a great year, he's recently received some great news that he'll be moving into a new shared home. And he's pretty excited about that. And so that's great to hear. So congratulations to each of those 4 winners of our Amicus Living the Value Awards. Always really great to hear and acknowledge the achievements of the people we support. One more item of business, just to finish off, and it's also by way of acknowledgement as well. It's for the Ian Smith Scholarship. So Ian Smith was a long-standing and long-serving member of the Committee of Management, and Ian's profession before he retired was of a teacher. So in recognition of Ian's time on the Committee of Management, we created a scholarship to the value of $2,000 and made that available to staff to apply for, to undertake further study or a study tour in their priority areas of focus where they want to develop. Pleased to announce a couple of things. Before I announce the winners, also pleased to announce that from next year, the Committee of Management have decided to not only increase the value of the scholarship from $2,000 to $3,000, we've decided that there'll be 2 scholarships next year and not 1. So any staff in on the call on this AGM, encourage you to get your thinking caps on and think about what extracurricular training and or further study we could specifically support you with next year. But this year, we've got some pretty special winners in that there isn't just one winner. We've got some joint winners, and the winners are Thar Chaw, Luay Thor, Clay Pay Clay, and Pla Gay. These 3 staff members are from the Karen community here in Bendigo. and we're very pleased to have 3 and a 4th staff member from the Karen community engaged here at Amicus as support workers, and they provide support exclusively to participants from within the Karen community. As English is their second language, the ability to receive training in both English and computer skills and a slower paced first aid training course is going to be of great benefit to enable them to complete more competent and confident in an English working environment. The team, as I said, exclusively work with Karen speaking people and their families across a diverse range of ages, but we believe there's a gap in the working environment in terms of the administrative work as an employee, some improvements that if we can assist with their English speaking skills and computer skills, that will help them to be better employees. Congratulations to the scholarship winners. Fantastic commitment, and we're pleased to be able to support that training and further development. So that's all from me. Just going down, I can't see any questions that's raised by anyone who's coming, but we are online for a couple more minutes and happy to take any questions from people who've come along today. But apart from that, just give people a minute to type out and ask anything they like. Still looking a bit quiet there. That's all good. You're all a bit shy. That's okay. Thanks for coming along. I think this has gone quite well. I do miss the smiling faces in the crowd that would normally see, but hopefully we'll get back to that next year. So if there's no further questions, or are there any comments or questions from any of the committee? If there's not, we might call the AGM to a close. Thank you all. Thank you to Kathy and team sitting behind the scenes to make it all happen. Okay, cheers. Thank you.